How's it going, SU fans? Of course, another edition of our Rivals Guy videos, we call them. This is Ryan Murray of CuseConfidential.com, part of the Rivals.com network. Man, this is like your Christmas season. Of course, signing day a few weeks away. Very hectic for you, of course, with the coaching change. What do you have for me today as far as any updates?
Well, right now, Syracuse losing John Anselmo has been huge because they're on the verge of possibly losing Augustus Edwards, who's one of their biggest running back commitments. He might end up going to Florida State. There's still going to be time for Syracuse to get back in on him. He's just come back from a visit. A lot of emotions going to an official visit.
Right.
So there's a lot of things there. LeRae Smith, another New York City guy, has been very quiet. I still think Syracuse has a solid chance with him. But then if you look at what Scott Schaefer's doing, he's gone to a lot of other players that didn't even have Syracuse offers at the time. Players like quarterback John O'Corn, another quarterback Mitch Kimball, a wide receiver from St. Louis named Corey Winfield, who just got back from Syracuse today after a last-minute official visit when he was just offered. So Syracuse is kind of going with the same traditional guys they had, but they're also looking out to see what other options are out there.
Exactly, and that's kind of the give and take here. Certainly there's recruits who maybe specifically are coming to Syracuse for Doug Marrone, but then there's a whole slew of recruits that Scott Schaefer and George McDonald are going after. Let's start with the quarterbacks. 2 new offers. Tell me about these guys, what they bring to the table, and SU's chances of landing them.
Well, first of all, John O'Corn is probably the more well-known of the 2 quarterbacks. He played for one of the top high school programs in the country in St. Thomas Aquinas down in Fort Lauderdale, Florida. Passed for almost 2,500 yards, ran for 700 more. And so he's got that leadership of also leading a state championship team. I believe he was a captain on that team as well. So he's going to be a very nice prospect if Syracuse can get him here. He is committed to Houston right now, and we'll find out on Monday or earlier on in the week whether he will take a visit to Syracuse or if he will stay committed to Houston. And then you've got Mitch Kimball, who plays at a small high school in Illinois. He's committed to Northern Illinois right now. He visited Syracuse this past weekend, really likes Syracuse and what they have to offer. But he's also going to probably visit North Carolina State, where a lot of the Northern Illinois head coaches, or not the head coach, and a lot of assistants went to North Carolina State. So he will visit there. I think Syracuse has a very good chance at both these quarterbacks. The question is going to be which one do they want more and who wants Syracuse a little more.
Yeah, there you go. And certainly, George McDonald, a huge hire, one of the top 25 recruiters in the country, rated by Rivals.com. How big is that, getting a coordinator with that kind of recruiting experience?
Well, that's, especially for the offensive side of the football, that's extremely important, that you can show a guy that's got a certain style of offense and he's got that recruiting prowess to go in all over the East Coast when he was down in Miami, and then he was at Arkansas for just a month and brought in 2 recruits to Arkansas. So he's a guy that's going to be able to go in, tell recruits what he has planned, what he has in store for them at Syracuse University. He's able to create great relationships with prospects, and I think when you have a recruiter like that, you can definitely start recruiting to what you're going to put out on the field, and George McDonald's going to do that for Scott Schaefer.
And the staff as a whole, I know it's not complete just yet, but what are you hearing from the recruits you're in touch with, their thoughts on Coach Schaefer taking over and some of his assistants he's brought on?
Well, right now there hasn't been much said about the assistants right now. I did speak with Corey Cooper, who told me a funny story. He's a wide receiver prospect that Syracuse is starting to look at because of George McDonald. George McDonald recruited him at at Miami, and then at Arkansas. But it was funny because Corey told me on, I believe it was Tuesday night, George McDonald was in his living room recruiting for Arkansas. The next day, George McDonald was at Syracuse. So the relationship is still there. And he said he's a very great coach. He knows what he's doing, and he's down to earth. He's easy to talk to. And then a lot of the prospects are talking about Scott Schaefer getting the job. Malik Brown was one of the ones that was really extremely happy that Scott Schaefer got the job. Said it was like Christmas morning all over again. He talked about playing defense for Scott Schaefer, and who wouldn't want to play defense for Scott Schaefer is what he was saying. So right now the recruits are very into what Scott Schaefer is preaching on the defense because they've seen what he can do. Offense is still going to take a little while to catch up, but I think right now he's putting the pieces in place for a good staff. All
right, we're going to wrap this up in a minute here because, as you can probably tell, we're freezing out here. So listen, we've got a little over 2 weeks now, I believe, till signing day. What can SU fans expect down the home stretch as far as guys coming in, maybe guys out, and how many more guys does Syracuse bring in?
Well, right now they're probably only going to take around maybe probably like 7 more, I would say, around 7. They already have a solid group already on campus with the junior college kids, and they're already there. And what really helped Syracuse this year, because it was such a tough transition losing a coach so late in the process, a lot of those junior college guys and the fact that it was a small class. So we got some of the kids already on campus. It was a small class. If this was a class that was around 25, 30 kids, then it could have been a bigger problem. But right now, Scott Schaefer's got to work at trying to save the class of what he's doing, as far as maybe try to make Augustus Edwards stay with Syracuse, maybe land a player like LeRae Smith, and then go out and grab those players like Corey Winfield, like they just offered. And one of the quarterbacks is probably going to be huge if they can get either Mitch Kimball or John O'Corn.
There you go. And certainly, you know, the past couple weeks have been pretty fun recruiting. Can't wait to see what the class of 2014 brings. How fun that'll be.
Yeah, and I really think if you bring in a player like a coach like George McDonald, and you have Scott Schaefer, it's going to be in a very aggressive mindset as far as going after recruits. So 2014 could be a very fun time.
All right, you know him, you love him. Ryan Murray of CuseConfidential.com, part of the Rivals.com network, and my classmate in Jim Tully's journalism class at East Syracuse Manoa High School. But for now, send it back to the studio.